Hollyhood Haley J, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good.
Before we dive into things, I do have to say happy birthday. How did you end up celebrating?
Thank you. I actually end up celebrating by slinging some rock at OVW TV. Knocked out a couple people with the good old soccer rocks. So
Hmm.
I celebrated by OVW TV.
Well, of course, we do need to dive into Wrestlers, one of the newest documentary series on Netflix that you just so happened to star in. So, what have you kind of noticed being the biggest changes since Wrestlers' debut? Do you find it's helping your growth, people just catching you in public, those type of pretty damn cool kind of things?
Actually, all of the above. My followers went up by the thousands in days, and then yeah, actually, every time I go out since it has dropped, I have had someone recognize me, and I'm like,
Wow.
oh wow. I went to West Virginia, which is like it was a 4 hour drive from, where I live. And I was watching my man's son's football game and I didn't expect anyone. I looked like crackhead Haley. And sure enough, had a couple people come ask to take pictures and stuff. And I was like, oh wow, of course, hello. So I'm not quite used to that yet. I went to the gym and the lady that um, does the card thing. She was like, "Oh my gosh, can I get your autograph?" And I was like, "No, here's my card." And she was like, "What?" I didn't realize that she was being serious, and she watched the thing, and I
Oh,
was just like, I don't know. It's new for me. Yes, Charlotte Flair followed me today on Instagram. Actually, there's been like actors hitting me up, like all types of legends that I would consider in the wrestling business hitting me up, telling me that, just keep going and I look great
oh.
or whatever, which is awesome. I think every time I get a message, I'm like, ah! And my friends are like, yeah, famous people message famous people. It's fine. It's normal. And I'm like, oh yeah, it's fine. It's fine. But yeah, it's still very exciting for me. I'm still like, woo.
Wow. I mean, of course, not every superstar can call themselves a second generation wrestler, but you can. And you had mentioned someone there that I know you admire so much, being another iconic second gen wrestler in Charlotte Flair. So, what about that dream match for you is so appealing and is the one at the top of all of those matchups for you?
Well, Charlotte just has this presence about her, and everyone always tells me like, "Oh, you have this presence about you," and I never really understood what that meant until I seen Charlotte Flair, and I seen how like she took her time with everything, and she's just like, she's great. She is freaking phenomenal, and I want to be in the ring with the best. And then when it comes to the second generation stories, I mean, she's Ric Flair's daughter, and everyone knows that she does her woo. But with me and my mom, our story is a little different because, she
Yes.
started later on in life. She didn't really get as far as she wanted to be. So like everyone's counting on me to make it here. So I'm just like, I think that would be a great story. Like I can I can get some emotion out of people from that. So I think it would be great business wise.
I love that you mentioned that because one of the takeaways for me when it comes to your attitude in this business is you've always believed in yourself. You've always known that you had something and have always been calling yourself the superstar for years. So, does it kind
Yeah.
of feel wild knowing that others are now finally seeing that too? Because you've been working your ass off. And I don't just mean people in the industry, these actors reaching out, the Charlotte Flairs that are now following you on Twitter, but just the amount of people who are just sitting at home watching this on Netflix, even.
I would say that I'm happy that everyone is catching up. I think
I love
Netflix
that.
gave me a great opportunity to be able to prove that I am a superstar because, of course, I can say it all day. Nobody cares what we're talking about. It's our actions that, you know what I'm saying, prove. So I think anytime somebody, whether it was Netflix, WWE, AEW, anyone who wants to give me an opportunity, I'm gonna show up and show out and prove that I'm that superstar. Because, like you already said, I do believe in myself. I feel like I've known this since I was this big. Didn't matter what I tried to do in life, I was always gonna be a wrestler. So I'm just patiently waiting for my time and learning and growing as I get there.
And that's the way you have to go about it. It's that mentality of, hey, if something falls, I'm just going to pick it right back up, go on. And I think that's something that made you so relatable. Is although we saw you thrive, we also saw those really intense hardships throughout the whole thing. Like it's real and it's intense. And
Yeah.
seeing where you've come out just on this end now, it's fucking awesome.
Oh, well, thank you. I feel like I've grown up so much. I was 22. I just turned 24. So it's been a minute since we got to film that stuff, but I've definitely grown up as a person. I'm sure I've grown in wrestling as well, but as a person is what I'm actually, thriving for, which will help me in wrestling. So I think I'm doing a good job. I just got to continue with my mentality and, get a good support system, or the people around me. Make sure that the people around you support you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, one of my favorite things to do when watching these Netflix documentaries is reading the comments online. So, of course, I had to dive deep into the ones on wrestlers. And what made me laugh were all of the comments from non-wrestling fans on the eyelashes. Like, how does she wrestle with these? Is this really what girls wrestle with? And of course, us in the locker rooms, we see it every day, even as a backstage interviewer, they're like, the lashes need to be longer. So, what were some of the funniest things that you read about yourself since the show streamed?
Well, I'm gonna be honest with you. You
Please
may not
do.
even like this answer. I have not really read any comments
Wow. Good
about
for
anything.
you.
I
Seriously.
have all my notifications turned off. I mean, my friends and like family, of course, have sent me articles and everything, but me personally, I've got a lot of backlash on the internet because they don't like, me for me, or whatever the case may be, whatever it is they think, whatever. So I have all my notifications turned off. You can't reach me unless you have my phone number, which is why it takes me so long to respond. But yeah, I'm only looking for positivity, so I didn't really get to go through and do all that. Which has really helped me in life. So if anyone
That's
struggles with,
healthy.
people, getting bullied online or whatever, because I'm telling you, if you don't have a strong support system, that can really affect somebody's mind. You know what I mean? So if you struggle with that, turn your notifications off.
A few things we know about you we've discussed, but when it comes to your names, you're Hollyhood, you're kind of bougie, kind of ghetto, and we know you're extra gangsta. So what would you say is the most
Mm-hmm.
gangster thing about yourself, Haley?
Like the real me, Haley J.
Yeah.
Probably the most gangster thing about Hollyhood is the soccer rocks. I have used that in real life.
No,
That's
you
like
haven't.
my that's like my weapon of choice. And
Wow.
it's so funny. I think I actually have one. Hold on, wait, look.
I need to know about that situation. This you have them on hand just in case this interview goes wrong. You're like, I'm gonna get her.
Okay, so here's the deal. This whole soccer rock thing started when I was a teenager, and look, there's holes in this because the thing about these are you only get a couple good hits, and if you get a really good one, the sock bursts and rocks go everywhere. So I have to make new ones. But it started when I was a teenager. There was a couple girls, some stuff was happening, and yeah, they had weapons and I did not, but I did have a sock on my foot and there were rocks on the ground and I made some
So you just
shake.
went into
And
survival mode? That's insane.
yes.
Wow. Good on you though. I mean, if you got to protect yourself, you think
Yes.
quick.
Well, I mean, oh my gosh, I've been in some crazy situations where like these little street fights turn into like all brawls where like all my friends are fighting, everyone's fighting, their moms are like throwing weapons in the street, like here with this. So I've been through some things, and the soccer rocks has made it through, and I know that it works. And I thought I would use it in wrestling because it was like when I tell stories about what happened in life, people are like, that's kind of crazy. So then when I started wrestling, I was like, what if, hear me out, what if I use a soccer rocks? And of course, Red was like, I love it. It's perfect. And then that's the equalizer because everyone sees me. And especially when I first started wrestling, I was 108 pounds. Now I'm 130. I'm getting jacked. Y'all see that? Charlotte Flair, I'm coming. Anyways, I was really small. So like, I just got thrown around and beat up all the time. And I'm like, and now I got an equalizer, and this will take out anyone, dude, female, doesn't matter. It works on everyone. So
Next time I'm walking down the
that's my
street,
gangster.
I'm in trouble.
Yeah.
I always need to make sure if I'm going somewhere a little sketchy, I'm wearing runners, so I have socks on. We need
Yeah,
some rocks around.
Get your little Nike sock. Shout out to Nike.
Oh my
This is
God.
all. It's hilarious.
It is
I'm dead. I have
hilarious.
this right. Yeah, I have one in my trunk. I have one everywhere on deck. Like they're all throughout. You'll never know. So don't try to test me, you guys. I might just.
Yep, soccer rocks.
Yeah. Just kidding. I've grown up. Can't do that. Go to jail.
Oh my gosh. But isn't that nice though that you have grown up and in this real world of Haley J, that's something you can't do and you wouldn't want to do anymore, but you still have that outlet in wrestling. Like that's just a nice little yin yang. Like how therapeutic.
Yeah, no, I think like I'm trying to make it to where like Hollyhood is my, my outlet. So like that's where I can go act out and do crazy things. But in real life, Haley J, I'm more sophisticated. I'm bougie. So I gotta learn between the two, because for a long time I felt like I was Hollyhood Haley J, and I lived that lifestyle, and yeah, I had to grow up to figure out that I don't have to live that lifestyle, or even, it's just good that I did, because it helped me in wrestling in my life grow up. Let me just say
and not just in your life, but I think that's why when people are watching and they're seeing Hollyhood struggle, like it's so relatable in that sense, kind of like how we touched on earlier, is because that shit was real. The stuff you were talking about was real. So wild to see and think that was 2 years ago and how much has changed since. But I had mentioned a little bit of therapy there. So the last thing I wanted to ask you about today was one of the biggest moments in the series, which happened to be a feud of yours with your mother, Amazing Maria. Well, I got to sit on my couch and watch you and your mom beat the living hell out of one another in a death match at OVW. So just looking back on that, was there almost a sense of therapy to it, knowing how difficult yet loving that relationship is for you? Just kind of walk me through all of that.
Well, we had wrestled prior to that, just not a death match, so not as to that extent. But I think I always hit her hard because I've been holding it in for so long. But I was very nervous about the death match. For one, because I am epileptic, and it was like needles and stuff that made me have a seizure. So I was nervous for thumbtacks. I was nervous for a lot of different things, but obviously I was fine. And also, she loves this death match stuff. She loves it. So I knew that if I got in there and like had a good match and made her happy, then it would be okay. I knew she would be fine with bleeding. I've been watching her do it since I was a kid. When I was a kid and I used to watch her death matches, girl, that it like makes me queasy. I can't even.
Oh no.
Ugh.
Yeah.
And like she would be like, "Pick this thumbtack out of my head," and I'm like, ew. Yeah. So I think it was more just like, I don't know. I think I'm grateful for it because it was my mother, and like it's like history for us. You know what I mean? Like a family thing.
Very full circle.
But was it therapy? I don't know. I still be ready to knock her out sometimes, but that's just me on my. I'm sure you want to knock out your mother sometimes. That's everybody. But yeah, I have to grow and heal as a person. That has a lot to do with her too. So, but she's also doing some healing and growing up. Even though she's older than me, she's still learning.
I feel like no matter how old you are, we're always healing and growing, no matter what.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I agree with that.
Well, Haley, I want to say thank you so much for taking the time. I'm so glad we got to learn a little bit more about you and what's behind everything going on. So just thank you for joining me today. You're awesome.
Thanks for having me, girl. You're sweet and pretty.
As are you. Now, to everyone watching, this has been the ever so rad Hollyhood Haley J. Visit AliciaAtout.com for plenty more exclusive interviews and features. See you next time.